All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome. My name is David, and today I am talking with Matt Harline. Welcome, Matt.
Hi, how are you doing, David?
I'm doing great. Thanks. So, Matt and I just met actually last week, and he shared a little bit about his story, and I was like, "Oh man, this is a cool story. I'd love to hear more about it and have you share that with other people." So, why don't you feel free just to jump right in and get us started?
Okay, so I have been an artist all my life, pretty much that I can remember. My earliest memories. Now I'm 63 years old, and so go back too far, and it's really hard to remember. But in kindergarten, the things that I remember most had to do with art projects. And when I got into high school, I took art for 4 years, and as I was getting ready to graduate, I was encouraged to study something that I could make a living at. So I studied engineering and became an electrical engineer and focused on computer hardware for a long time. So I'm an artist, but I've been on a detour for 41 years. And then 4 years ago, that detour abruptly ended. I was test riding a bicycle. I was shopping for a bicycle, and while I was riding this bicycle, I had a collision with a pickup truck. And I don't remember the actual collision. It never got into my memory. But I do remember laying on the ground and the paramedics sliding a backboard underneath me and asking me if it was okay to cut off my shirt. Just little simple things like that.
Yeah.
Okay, this doesn't sound good. But,
Yeah.
I was in the hospital for 5 days, and they told me that I had a traumatic brain injury.
Wow.
2.5 months later, I tried to go back to work, and it wasn't working. And 3 or 4 months later, while I was still trying to work, one of my employees who was I was a manager, and the employee who was kind of backing me up, asked to speak with me, and he said, "This isn't working." And so I wasn't getting any better, and was asked to get, we figured out that the best thing for him was stop working. During that
So,
recovery time.
yeah, can I interrupt you for a sec?
Sure.
If you don't mind sharing, how was the brain injury affecting you? Was it?
I at the start, so it was the thing that hurt the most. There was a fracture of my skull. There was some bleeding inside of my brain. Not a lot. They didn't have to do surgery to stop it. It was a little bit, but I did have some blood coming out of my left ear. I had some broken ribs. My right shoulder was pretty banged up, and had a broken big toe. Interestingly enough, the bicycle only got a few scratches on it. I have no idea how that happened.
Yeah. So when you were trying to work again, was it like short-term memory loss, or how was it affecting your work?
It was difficulty finding words, difficulty with communication, difficulty with just being able to focus. And I would get tired very quickly. When I was working, I was advised that I should work for 4 hours on Monday, take Tuesday off, work 4 hours on Wednesday, take Thursday off, so that I had time to recover. When they first told me, you need that day to recover from 4 hours of work, I was kind of, huh?
Yeah, that seems crazy. Yeah.
I needed it.
Wow.
It was difficult. And I had all this plan. The engineer in me was, I can work for 4 hours for a couple of weeks, and then I can up that to 5 hours and, work my way up. So within 3 or 4 months, I'll be back at full time. Within 3 or 4 months, I was still struggling to work 4 hours on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And you can't be a professional engineer doing that kind of stuff.
Right.
But it was really just the mental fatigue is a problem that is still my problem today.
And how long has it been since the accident?
It's been 4 years.
4 years.
February 27th of 2016.
Okay.
Um, but during that time, some of the things I could do was I could paint. And since I've been an artist all my life, I started painting. And that did a number of things. It's good for the brain to kind of have to think through that stuff. And it was relaxing, and it's kind of therapeutic kind of activity. So and I found that it was really helpful for me to find something that I could do, as opposed to being in a position where I can't do anything anymore. I mean, I can't imagine spending all my day on the couch streaming Netflix or watching worse yet, watching daytime TV or soap operas or what. I don't know what's on. I have no idea what's on daytime TV. But
Yeah. So, man, that's so interesting. Because you're like, no, I'm a professional engineer. Like, I got this down. I've been doing this for 40 years, and then now to be like, I can't do this. So what else am I going to do? And during that time when you were an engineer, were you doing some painting like as a hobby on the side still?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I would the Crocker Art Museum in Sacramento would have classes that they would put on for members of the museum or even anyone that wanted to come in, and I would take classes from time to time, and I would have a sketchbook, and I would draw pictures with my grandkids or my children when they were younger, and so I've been drawing and painting for a long time. And in fact, the month just before the accident, I was taking a watercolor portrait class at the museum. And it was like the last class was like 3 days before my accident.
Nice.
So, I've been doing that all along, but you don't have time for hobbies when you've got a full-time career and you're a husband and a father. And, I was volunteering for Boy Scouts and just lots of things going on. You don't have time.
Yeah.
Now I had time.
Yeah. So did you come to that realization kind of slowly, or was it like all of a sudden you realized, oh, hey, now I can do this thing over here that I really love. I can do art all the time.
Well, it wasn't quite that. I was thinking this is something I can do while I'm recovering, because when I was first hurt, I didn't think that was the end of a career.
Right.
I thought, I'll be back. And it took those 4 months after the accident of trying to work to finally let it sink. And then my employee coming to me and saying, this isn't working. And that was kind of hard to do. It was hard to realize, okay, I don't give up. That's not me. But, since then I've found, well, I gave that up, but I'm doing stuff that I can do. And this is, frankly, I'm having a great time doing it. I'm enjoying my life. I mean, I would like to have more energy to be able to throw myself more into my artwork, but it is what it is, and I'm enjoying what I can do.
Cool. Yeah, I love that you keep saying "can do." It's really easy to feel like there's nothing we can do, but there's always something we can do.
Yeah. I go to a support group for people with brain injuries. In fact, got one. We're doing a Zoom. We do them on Zoom right now because of the situation. But there are people that are fully accepting of where they are and they're happy, and there are people who are focusing on when I get better, I'll when everything will be normal again, or when I win this lawsuit and get a bunch of money, then I'll be happy again. And not really thinking about, let's just focus on what I can do.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, so you mentioned when I talked to you last, another just hard to believe thing that happened to you, and in this part of your life too. So do you want to share that, a little bit of that?
Sure. This isn't. I mean, it's a little more difficult to tell this part of it because um, there was quite a bit of loss for me that, and well, I'll just go through. So my wife and I were fortunate enough to be able to buy some property. This is after my accident. Buy some property in Butte County in California, in an area that's called Concow. It's a kind of an unincorporated part of the county. It had a detached building that was a workshop that I made into my art studio. And I had all my art materials there. I took all of my artwork, a lot of my artwork up there, including the artwork that I had done in high school, just all my collection of things that I still had. And on November 8th of 2018, a fire started just east of Concow, and it quickly engulfed all of Concow and then went over to Paradise and pretty much destroyed the whole town of Paradise. I kept having hope that, because we had been working on clearing the brush from around the house and all this other stuff that you're supposed to do. And I kept hoping that, well, maybe my house got skipped over. And I got pictures a few weeks later that confirmed that there was nothing left of the house. About a month after the fire, we were finally able to go up to the property and look at what was left. And I remember standing between the house and the studio and just thinking that there's nothing. There was just nothing.
That's so tough.
And at the same time, I had this thought that, well, I guess that's my practice round. That's a preseason or whatever you want to call it, if it's a sports analogy or whatever. I get to do this all over again. But although it's hard to do the exact same thing over again.
Yeah.
Every time it comes out different. But
right.
It's so one thing I did when I was up there, we were looking for what kinds of things might be left. And from the previous Christmas, we had a nativity set, with the Mary and Joseph and baby Jesus and the shepherds and all sorts of things. It's ceramic. And we actually found it, and parts of it were still intact. It was just amazing. And they were singed and kind of blackened, but we found them.
Something survived. Yeah.
I found a little lump of blue that must have been some acrylic blue paint that had just kind of, it survived.
Melted to a little ball.
Yeah.
Nice.
I still have that. And then I had this idea that I have all this burned wood. Some of it's still like charred wood. And I got out a bucket and I got my knife and I started scraping some of that black wood, burned wood, into the bucket. And I figured I would get the stuff that I needed so that I could make that into paint.
Cool.
And so now I have a bunch of ashes that I'm using as it seems right. And a lot of my paintings have a little bit of my studio in them. It's you gotta turn around and say, well, it's something good has got to come out of this.
And have you always been like that? Like, because what I notice about you is, first of all, you're always smiling. Like this whole conversation, even as you're telling me this devastating story, you're still smiling. So first of all, have you always been like that?
Probably not, but I like to say I have been. But I grew up in a big family. I have 8 siblings, and we just always did things together, and yeah, I guess when things went wrong, we always found a way to make things right, or make the best of it, I guess you could say.
Mm. So you
And
feel like that's something that's been a part of who you are since you were a kid.
yeah,
Mm.
there's another story that, um, in reflecting back on some of these things, it kind of gets me, makes me realize that this is one of the things that has made me the way I am. When I was in high school, I spent my summers at the Boy Scout camp as a staff member. And one week, I think I was 16 or 17 years old, the my boss came to me on Sunday night after all of the scouts and their troops had checked into the camp. And he told me that one of the scouts in the area where I was responsible for, was blind. And he wanted to work on a merit badge that required that he spend 8 hours observing nature.
Mm.
Okay, so that's a good thing for him to do. How do we help him to be able to observe? So I spent 8 hours, not all at one time, but 8 hours through the week with this young man, whose nickname by his troop mates was Radar. And he and I spent those 8 hours feeling and touching the trees and being able to identify, this is a ponderosa pine. This is what it feels like. This is what the bark feels like. This is what it smells like. And the pine needles come in 3 needle bundles, and they're about this long. And we learned about the cedars and the cottonwoods, and I don't remember all the trees that were there. There's lodgepole pine is another pine tree that was up there.
Mm.
We talked about the rocks and the grasses and other plants and bushes and stuff. And so he was able to observe what was in camp with his other senses.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess looking back on it, I guess that was one of those things where I learned, you focus, if you can't do something, well, then you just do it some other way. You can be who you are without, you don't have to compare yourself to everybody else.
Mm.
I was told a long time ago that I'm not in competition with other people. I mean, I need to compare myself from one day to the next. Am I getting better?
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's just kind of stuck with me for a long time. I guess maybe I'm not as competitive as I could be, but I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's a certain freedom that comes with that, right? Because then you're accepting of who you are, and yeah, you're just trying to improve yourself. And it's really easy to get stuck and down on yourself playing the comparison game.
Right.
It's not a very fun way to live.
No, and now, I do have limitations in what I can do.
Uh-huh.
And I compensate for that. I take more naps. I take breaks to rest my brain. I mean, that's the last hour. That's what I've been doing so that I could be prepared to be able to be coherent talking with you.
Awesome. That's so cool.
So, if I spend all day in meetings, by the time I get done with the second hour, you would start to wonder if I had it all upstairs, but because I don't.
Yeah. Man, I just love your attitude. Like, okay, if this isn't going to work, then let's figure out a way that it can work. And
Yeah.
for you to be able to go back to your childhood passion now and like really pursue that. Yeah. So tell me a little bit more about like how that's going.
Well, so I have been painting, and I've actually been able to sell some of my paintings over the last 4 years. But about a year ago, I decided I needed to figure out how to be more systematic about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've enrolled in a program, an online self-paced thing, which is important for me to be self-paced,
Mm-hmm.
and to basically learn how to be to market your own artwork.
Cool.
And it's going well. I so far halfway through this year, I've tripled what I sold last year, but that's tripled is from a really small number to another little bit
Yeah.
bigger, but still small number.
Nice.
but it's still, I've got a direction that I can continue to follow.
Yeah.
You know, and the important thing in this program is to identify in yourself what your mission is, what your values are, what's important to you, what are you trying to help people to resolve. And so, you know, I looking back on all of my different experiences in life, I've found that, you know, sometimes life turns us upside down, and some people react really negatively. They mourn the things that they've lost, and just wish for things to come back that can't come back.
Mm-hmm.
Other people embrace those changes, get turned upside down, and say, well, let's make the best of this. Let's be positive. I'm going to be optimistic. So I want to inspire people to embrace the things that they can do, to stretch their limits, to try and do more, to be positive and optimistic about life. You know, when life turns you upside down, sometimes you just have to turn it upside down again. And I mentioned this to someone recently, and they said, you know, you didn't say turn it right side up again, because you may not end up right side up. You could end up completely different.
Yeah.
But you're upside down, well, turn it upside down again. Just try it another time.
I love that. So with your art, that's your mission. Does that come out in like some of the things that you create?
It does. I have a painting, actually 3 paintings that the trio, I call it my journey, or the journey. It doesn't have to be my journey. It could be anyone's journey. It starts off showing a person laying flat on the ground, like I was 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then a sequence of pictures of people, of this person getting up on their knees, then standing up and turning around, and starting to walk away from being on the ground. Next picture shows the same person climbing a rock. And it's not a straight line climbing up. You got to kind of wind your way up. And then the third picture has this person tripping and falling onto the ground again, and then getting back up. Because my recovery has not been constantly going forward. There's been stumbles, and everyone has stumbles. But you know, that's a series of paintings that really reflect that kind of sentiment, or you know, just keep moving.
Yeah.
It's a journey. Keep going.
Yeah. Awesome. I love it. That's your artwork behind you there?
Actually, that's a kite that I bought in Shanghai a long time ago.
Nice. It looks like a painting from here.
It's a kite. Yeah, let's see if you can see it a little bit.
Oh yeah, yeah, cool. Nice. Well, man, Matt, I think that you've shared a lot of you know, really valuable things, and things that, you know, anybody can take away and implement in their own life. And I think your story is really cool, and I appreciate you sharing. Is there anything else that you'd like to add on, like, you know, here's something I'd like to tell somebody if they're struggling a little bit, or if they're on their own journey?
You know, none of us are on this journey on our own. And we stumble and fall, and it really helps to have people that help you out. There's another painting that I did which shows a person kind of leaning over, and I'll send you a picture of it, but
Cool.
leaning over with this big, huge boulder on their back. Kind of, what's the mythology? Atlas holding up the world.
The Atlas Stone, yeah.
Yeah. So you got this man or this woman's, hunched over, struggling to hold up this big boulder on his back. And then under this boulder, it kind of in almost like a shadow, there's a line of people, all different ages, some on ladders, some just standing on the ground, holding up the boulder with this person. People that you don't really think are there sometimes, but they're there helping you. And my wife and my family have helped me. There are others out there, and if you're struggling, reach out and find someone that can help you. I've, like I told you before, I've got this support group, and there are people in my support group that we talk and we share and we support each other, and that really helps to get through those troubles, and helps you to realize that there are things I can do, and it really is better if you focus on those things, and you'll be happier.
Awesome. Love it. What can you do?
What can you do?
Can you do? Awesome. All right. Well, tell us where we can find your work and where we can contact you, and I'll put some links in the show notes as well.
Okay. So I have a web page that is www.huesoftheworld. That's HUES, like colors, huesoftheworld.com. And that's my web page. There's all my stuff on there. I need to reorganize it a little bit. Yeah, it's one of those things where I need to learn how to do it better. But it's just this brain kind of holds me back from trying to do some of those complicated things.
Yeah.
But my email, just my name, matt.harline@gmail.com. And
cool.
Happy to talk with people.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Matt. It's been great talking with you today, and I really appreciate you sharing your story.
Thank you. Good, nice talking with you.